Whether or not you've got high, high hopes for a living, or you just want someone to close the goddamn door, likely as not, you've heard of Panic at the Disco. Panic's discography stretches effectively everywhere you can imagine, from theatrical cabaret emo to the Beatles record that never was, to some of the best pop music you'll ever hear, and even to 1980s rock operas. There's something for everyone. But there is one record that I feel is criminally underrated and is maybe one of the most underrated records you'll hear from the last 15 years, and that is Vices and Virtues. Before I get started talking about this underrated gem of a record, hello there, my name is Jojo Jackrabbit. I am a self-proclaimed fashion, art, music, and occasionally film critic here on the great U of Tube, and your friendly neighborhood wet dream for the webzine. Now, Panic at the Disco. 2 records in the 2000s. Ephevia Can't Sweat Out. Pretty Odd. Brendan, Ryan, John Spencer. One of the biggest emo bands that there were. This, the music video for I Write Sins Not Tragedies, their big breakout hit, is one of the most iconic videos, I would argue, ever. So in 2009, when it was announced that lead guitarist and songwriter Ryan Ross and bassist John Walker would be leaving the band, a lot of people thought, oh no, that's the end of Panic. Until it was announced that Brendan Urie, the lead singer, and Spencer Smith, the drummer, would go on by themselves and continue with the Panic name. In 2010 or 9, I believe, for the film Jennifer's Body, they released a amazing little pop single called New Perspective. It's an amazing song. I think it blew up on TikTok last year, and they were going into a new direction with the band. They were following Pretty Odd, which is this flowery Beatles type record. It's effectively a Beatles cosplay, and they were getting back more to their roots, that sort of pop punky and more theatrical side of Panic that made them beloved in the first place. So in 2011, they released Vices and Virtues. And Vices and Virtues is this gem of a record. Let's go through the songs, shall we? Let's start with track 1, The Ballad of Mona Lisa. Now, I think that bells are criminally underused in pop music, and music in general, honestly, so those opening in da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, I ascend hearing that. It leads into this great song. It's one of the better choruses I think Panic has ever done. It's not played enough nowadays, and it's an absolute banger to start the record. Then it's Let's Kill Tonight, which is not actually about killing someone tonight. According to Brendan and Spencer, it is about killing tonight, as in spending the night partying, going out, being young and arrogant and energetic. Once again, another banger, an amazing chorus. This sets up a line for this record. This record is a lot of amazing choruses, a lot of high energy stuff, a lot of guitar work, and I think it sets up the rest of the record so phenomenally after Battle of Mona Lisa. Often I don't like track 2s as much as I do the first or even third song, so this is one of the highlights of the record. Then you have a record that Brendan Urie has said he doesn't like that much, but one of my favorite songs on it, and that is Hurricane. Once again, banger, recommended. Almost all the songs on this record are bangers. Then you have Memories, and Memories is just this beautiful, beautiful song about this young love that ends up falling apart due to pressures from the world, money running tight. It has one of the best guitar solos I've ever heard. It's glorious. Then it's what I know is a fan favorite, which is Trade Mistakes, and it's one of the stranger records stranger songs on this record. The lyrics are a bit out there. They have said that a lot of the record's lyrics are in character, so mostly made up, about partying or love or things like that. There is one song we'll get to that is about the band's breakup, which is Ryan and John leaving. Then, my favorite song, possibly ever, it gives me so much joy, Ready to Go, Get Me Out of My Mind. There's a oh. That bit at the beginning always just, there's something so innately emotional for me. Then there's the only song that I can't say I like on this record. Not that it's not a good song, it's not my cup of tea. It's called Always, and it's this, it's mostly this guitar ballad, and not the guitar ballad, like acoustic guitar ballad, and it's gorgeous. It has some strange melodic choices, but once again, solid track. Then there is possibly the most underrated Panic song ever. It's The Calendar, and it's effectively all about the band's breakup, and it's really emotional. Then you have Sarah Smiles, which is about Miss Sarah Uri, or as she's now known, that Brendan went on to marry a couple of years later, and it's like it has mariachi horns and all these things. It's a really fun song, weirdly. And then we have the closing track, Nearly Witches, Ever Since We Met, features a children's chorus singing in French. It is about the closest we ever got back to Fever sound, this cabaret, weird like theatrical song with odd structuring, and it features the last Ryan Ross lyric ever to be used by Panic at the Disco, "Here I am composing a burlesque," or as Brendan normally puts it, and that is the record. So as with the record setup, let's talk a little more about why it is an amazing record and why that era of Panic is so underrated. Vices and Virtues is such a great record for one very specific reason for me, and that is because Vices and Virtues feels like a Fever but better. And I'm not saying that it's better than Fever. Fever You Can't Sweat Out, by the way, which is their debut record. It's beloved. So I'm not trying to come for Fever. Don't shout at me in the comments or anything. But it just feels so oddly relaxed. It's this band that half its group is gone. It's just Brendan and Spencer, and they're just having fun with guitars and these interesting songs. And it's just a high energy record, and you can dance to it. And it makes me deeply happy. And the aesthetics of it, that steampunk look to it, is something that tickles an itch in my brain. And we never really got that from Panic again, as they became somewhat more mainstream. And I hear a lot of people talk about Vices and Virtues as the last proper Panic record. It was the last proper record for effectively became the Brendan Urie solo project. And as I'm sure a lot of you may know if you watched my previous video, I love the Brendan Urie solo project side of Panic. But I can see where a lot of people are like, this is where Panic at the Disco ends. And it is a glorious ending. Additionally, the fan feeling of this record is what really makes it great in my eyes. As opposed to, say, Fever or even Pretty Odd, Vices and Virtues didn't chart all that well. I mean, it went 56 on US Billboard's Top Rock Records, which is, of course, great for, like, a year. And it went silver in the UK, gold in the US. But it was not a mainstream smash by any means. Panic at that point had regressed a lot to being somewhat of a niche band. You could see that emo and a lot of bands that were associated with it were becoming less and less mainstream. At that point, Fall Out Boy was on their hiatus. Paramore was breaking up for like the 27th time. You know, My Chemical Romance was nearing the end of their career making music. I know they're touring right now, but you know what I mean. So Panic was one of the last holdouts of that era of music, and so it wasn't a very mainstream record, and that's what I think makes it so beautiful. If you look at the Vices and Virtues tour, it was mostly ballrooms and clubs and theaters and small venues, and so when you had the fans coming in, there were not a lot of casual fans coming to see the Vices and Virtues tour. You had really devoted fans, Panic fans in the beginning, people who loved the record. The energy in the live clips are immaculate. I love Brendan performing in this era. It's my favorite era of Brendan Urie performing. He was obviously not at his vocal best during this, honestly. There are some performances that are kind of painful to listen to because he's cracking a lot. His voice is changing during this era, but he just has so much energy and like palpable joy that just I love watching. Also, the set list for the Vices and Virtues tour, which I'll pull up in a minute, was so incredible. Good lord. According to Setlist FM, the average set list for this was 14 songs, and it was Only Difference Between Martyrdom and Suicide is Press Coverage, Better If You Do, The Ballad of Mona Lisa, Kamisado, That Green Gentleman, Let's Kill Tonight, Lying is the Most Fun, Northern Downpour, which was never played again, and I know everyone gets weepy about that song. I Constantly Thank God for Esteban, 9 in the Afternoon, generally a cover, and they did all sorts of covers. They did science fiction double feature. They did Personal Jesus. They did all sorts of amazing songs like as covers, and this is really the last time other than like Anthony's song on the Death of a Bachelor tour that we really saw covers from Panic Live. And then I Write Sins Not Tragedies, Newly Witches, and then sometimes an encore of New Perspective. So it was really the last tour to properly be almost mostly made up of older, like pre-split Panic songs. It was effectively the last record or the last tour where Pretty Odd was played other than 9 in the Afternoon. And so hearing those old songs is just, it was really cool. And that is why I think that Vices and Virtues is a criminally underrated record, is one of the best records you're going to hear from the last 15 years, and may even be one of Panic at the Disco's best records. My favorite 2 records are always going to be Death of a Bachelor and Vices and Virtues. I can go into the other records in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Getting to rant about something kind of niche is the glorious part of YouTube, and being able to talk about people who are interested in that is really the best part of the internet. The internet gets a very bad rap nowadays, and rightly so. The internet has become a very nasty place in a lot of ways. So being able to have a space where we can all get together and talk about great records and great music it's beautiful. It's a beautiful connection. Let me know if you have any records that you want me to listen to and talk about, because I'm always love hearing something new, or even something old we listen to again. I'd love to hear recommendations down below. Have a great rest of your day, my friends, and I'll see you in the next one. My name is Jojo Jackrabbit, and I'm saying farewell. If I retreat